Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. Tonight we're in the shop. Got a couple cool things to look at. The weather has not been very cooperative. This weekend was pretty nasty out. Was basically in the shop pretty much all weekend. Today the weather finally broke and sun came out, but it was super windy, so there was no point in trying to shoot anything out at the yard this afternoon because all we would have heard was wind noise. So kind of forgot about that mission. But since I did work in the shop all weekend, I found a couple cool things and wanted to bring you something a little bit different tonight. I hope you guys like it. I dig it. It's cool stuff that I like. So we'll show you some of that stuff too. And other than that, just trying to get caught up. All that inventory that came in a couple weeks ago, just trying to find places for it. And then it got wet on me this weekend. So trying to be productive and trying to get some things caught up and done. But got a few people jumping on with us now, and I don't know if this is stuff that you guys like or not, but I do. I think it's really cool, and I don't know if you like airplanes or not, but I really like World War II airplanes. So if you're an airplane person, you'll probably get a kick out of what we're going to talk about tonight. If you're just here strictly for cars, it may not be as exciting, at least not as exciting as it was to me. But I'm going to flip the camera around, we'll go take a look at it, and then I'm going to come back and I will tell you a couple stories about it. So, flip the camera around, head over here. Got cats out running around. Got a grill out of a 6061 DeSoto, that's kind of cool. What I wanted to show you tonight is this beast here. That is a propeller off of a Martin B-26 Marauder. This thing is a little over 12 foot long tip to tip. It's a monster. It's heavy and it's big. Now, you say it looks kind of funny. It's only got 3 blades. Well, it does have 3 blades. That's all I've got. When I bought this was exactly how I got it. I got 3 blades and the center hub for this propeller. So, what happened to the 4th blade? Well, a good friend of ours, a good friend of mine who has since passed away with the name of Harold Hall, who was a jug pilot. He flew P-47 fighter bombers in Europe. He found this prop back in the 60s, and he recognized it instantly because the Martin B-26 Marauder and the P-47 Thunderbolt used the same Pratt & Whitney engines, therefore they used very similar props. He was able to identify this was off of a bomber because this had a de-icing ring, or the hub was set up for a de-icing ring. The twin-engine bombers had de-icing rings. The single-engine fighter bomber P-47s did not. So they identified this as being off of a Martin B-26. Years ago, back in the 80s, when a lot of the World War II veterans were having a lot of their Army reunions, Harold went to his reunion one time, and they were working on a project with the National Air Force Museum. The U.S. Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio has what's literally called a memorial garden, where a lot of these fighter bomber groups, were able to set up a display in recognition of their group. Harold flew with the 79th. They started in P-40 Warhawks and eventually graduated to the P-47 Thunderbolts. And so while they were at their Army reunion, they were planning their display for the 79th in the Memorial Garden. So they were able to find a blade that was what a P-40 would have used. They did not have a blade for a P-47. So my old friend Harold had this prop, which were the same blades as the P-47, and he donated the 4th blade out of this prop to their display at the U.S. Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. So, if anybody's sitting on their computer and they want to look it up, look up the U.S. Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. There's a tab that says, I think, tour, like if you were going there to look. If you mouse over that, it will pop up a bar called Exhibits, I think, or something like that. If you mouse over that, it will pop up Memorial Garden. If you click on the Memorial Garden, there are cats like the propeller too, and you scroll down to the 79th Fighter Group, and you click on that, there is a picture of their display in the Memorial Garden at the U.S. Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio, with 2 propeller blades. One out of a P-40 Warhawk and the other one out of this propeller right here that sits in my shop. Now, why do you have a propeller for a Martin B-26 bomber in your shop? Because it's cool. It's neat. I love airplanes. I really love World War II airplanes. It's a piece of history. You know, the B-26, it's kind of its claim to fame. One of the most notable missions for Martin B-26s was air support over Normandy on D-Day. So when you think about that, and you think about what these planes did and what these guys did, and we can come in and look at something like this and think about what happened, what these guys did, and what happened on these missions. You know, these guys, every time they strapped into one of those planes, they didn't know if they were coming back or not. So I like this stuff. I think it's super cool. It's an awesome piece of history. I love it. If you guys like this stuff, I've got some more super cool aviation stuff too that we can talk about. Obviously, our primary focus is cars, and that's what we're here for, and that's what we really love. But this old airplane stuff, the technology and the design that went into these World War II aircraft, you know, we saw in cars. You know, after World War II, then we went into the jet age, and then we started seeing the tail fins and the jet pod taillights and things like that on cars. It all came from the aircraft industry. Hot rodding, drag racing came from these guys coming home from World War II, looking for excitement, taking what they learned and putting it into their cars and into their hot rods. And that's where it came from. That's where a lot of the stuff we love came from, was from this. So I hope you guys liked it. It's something that's really cool to me. It means a lot to me because I knew Harold. I flew with Harold. He took me up in a Cessna once or twice and had a great time. He was a super cool guy, had a lot of awesome stories that just make you cringe when you think about what these guys went through. He was on one bombing run, and they released the bombs, and one of them came off one wing, one of them didn't come off the other wing. Try and imagine flying a P-47 Thunderbolt with one bomb on, one bomb off, and trying to figure out how you're going to land. That's what these guys did. To the point where his squadron leader had to come up beside him with his wingtip while they were over the Mediterranean, while Harold held the bomb release, and his squadron commander smacked the bomb with the tip of his wing while they were flying over the Mediterranean to dislodge the bomb because he couldn't land with one bomb on one wing. That's what these guys went through, and that's what's cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys like this stuff as much as I do. It's cool. It's history, and it does transcend into a lot of what we know and what hot rodding became. So I've got some more really cool stuff. I've got some Norden bomb sight stuff, you know, all kinds of World War II stuff that, you know, aircraft related, that's super cool. So maybe we'll bring you some more of that if you guys like it. If you guys hate it, tell me you hate it, and we won't talk about it anymore. But it's cool, and I like it, and I hope you enjoyed it too. So anyway, that's what we had for tonight. Supposed to have some decent days coming up, supposed to have some good weather coming up. So we'll get some more stuff from the yard here over the next couple of days and get some more of that out to you. And other than that, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed it, even though it was something a little bit different. And we will see you Wednesday night. Thanks for being here with us, everybody.